Let's see what sort of difference these weapons are making with Mark Montgomery. He's the Senior Director of the Centre on Cyber and Technology Innovation at the Foundation for the Defence of Democracies. Welcome to DW. What do you think? Have these HIMARS changed the game, or is it too soon to tell?
Well, thank you for having me. And I do think the HIMARS and the Guided Missile Launcher Rocket System, or GMLRS, munitions that fly the 50 miles or 80 kilometers that they launch have made a significant difference, because what they're allowing the Ukrainians to do is hold Russian logistics and command and control at risk in a way that they couldn't with the M177 howitzers with traditional 155 millimeter rounds. So they have made a significant difference. They're affecting the Russians, and that's why the Russians are attempting to target them.
Right, and it's interesting that you've just said, and we said in the report, there's this concentration on the stretching of Russian logistics lines, because we saw at the start of this war that was a problem for Moscow.
That's right. When they were trying to fight around Kiev, they were on extended lines, and they failed. So in this new campaign they have, fighting broadly, generally from Russia into the Donbass, they would appear to have shorter logistics and command and control lines, which are easier for them to control, and they can be more successful. But with these munitions, even those compact lines of communication can be held at risk and create problems for the Russians. So I really do think this is, game changer is a tough term. This significantly sways things in the Ukrainian advantage if they have enough rounds.
And more of these HIMARS are expected to be delivered, is that right?
That's right. So we've just announced 4 more of the HIMARS vehicles, and there's equivalent vehicles, the M270s, coming from European countries. So they'll have upwards of, 24 of these vehicles eventually. But again, as I said a moment ago, the key is the munitions. We have only heard, they're very discreet about the amount of munitions that are being given here, as opposed to the 155 millimeter where we say we've delivered 411,000 or something. We say things like hundreds. And so I am concerned about this. I want to make sure that we're getting enough. I think it's critical that we get significant GMLRS munitions into Ukraine for use on the HIMARS vehicles.
That discretion is an interesting point, because, again, in the early months of this war, that we were seeing government spokespeople taking to the media saying we're going to be delivering this many of this sort of weapon and this many of this sort of weapon. And at the time, you couldn't help looking at that and thinking, well, should you really be telling the world about your plans?
So I think, when they're in broad numbers, like 59 million, rifle rounds or 411,000 artillery rounds, you're probably okay. I mean, you're not creating a unique thing to attack. In the very small numbers, like say the NASAMS, the National Air to Surface, Surface to Air Missile Systems, or the Harpoon missiles coming from Denmark and then eventually from the United States, probably want to be very cautious about the numbers you tell. I think in the HIMARS, because it's successful, we're comfortable saying the numbers. I think the rounds issue has more to do with, we know that these are troubling to President Putin and his, leadership group, because, they could almost reach into Russia. Right. And that's, I hope, a bridge the Ukrainians don't cross with this weapon system. Take full advantage of it to destroy the Russian occupiers in the Donbass.
Okay. I'd like to read you a tweet from Lithuania's Foreign Minister, Gabrielius Landsbergis. He tweeted this a couple of days ago. He said, the agreement to unblock Odessa would have been impossible without HIMARS. It's now very clear that the war will end if we arm Ukraine faster. I wonder, Montgomery, do you think Ukraine bombed Russia back to the negotiating table? Seems quite quite a big claim, that.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can add that 2 and 2 together and get 5, right? I mean, that's a tough linkage. What I would say is the HIMARS, the GMLRS rounds, the counter battery fire radars that allow us to hit the artillery, the Harpoon missiles, all these things are leveling the playing field for the Ukrainians so that their own resilience, which is the real backbone of this defense, can evidence itself to the Russian leadership. So I don't think any single weapon system does it. And I'm not sure what the mathematics were in President Putin's head for opening Odessa. And clearly that mathematics reversed, and he closed it and opened it and closed it over the last few days with his attacks, missile attacks on the Odessa port. So I wouldn't give it I'm not 100% sure the Lithuanian foreign minister, can be validated on that.
All right. That's all very clear. Thank you so much for elucidating that and spending the time with us. Mark Montgomery from the Foundation for the Defence of Democracies. Thank you.
Thank you.